Gaining a better understanding of why your body and mind are doing the things they're doing can be very beneficial in calming down the anxiety symptoms or taking the shame away for having PTSD. And this is all wrapped up part and parcel with the character strength of love of learning. Do you want to achieve your goals, but anxiety is tripping you up? Like to keep those fun weekend plans, but depression has you canceling again? Hey, I'm Lori, dog mom, lover of nature, and hygge enthusiast. Positive psychology skills help me overcome chronic severe PTSD. If you're ready to learn how to overcome your anxiety and depression and rediscover happiness and purpose in life, then get your cozy on and let's get started. Welcome back to Practical Solutions for PTSD. Have you felt like your anxiety symptoms or your chronic stress or depression have been quietly draining all your energy right down the tubes? I want to invite you to a live online workshop called Calm Emotional Overwhelm. This is going to be on August the 21st at 10 o'clock Central Time. Inside this workshop, I'll show you 3 practical tools that help ease chronic stress, anxiety symptoms, and your depression, so you can feel a little bit steadier and a little bit more like yourself. This is not therapy, so we're not going to be talking about all the trauma. This is not about a motivational talk. This is just practical training that you can apply immediately, so real answers for real life. You can register for the workshop at ceoworkshop.grwebsite.com. Again, that's ceoworkshop.grwebsite.com. And if you sign up and you're not able to attend live, there will be a recording link that I will send out for those that have signed up. But you do need to sign up to be able to get that. So one last time, that address is ceoworkshop.grwebsite.com, and I really hope to see you guys there. So today we are going to be continuing our series, Not Broken, Equipped. We're going to be talking about our 4th love language, our 4th character strength, which is love of learning. And how much it can help you when you're dealing with your trauma. And this is a really powerful one. I love this one. It's not one of my signature strengths, but it's probably mid-range for me. I don't remember exactly where it falls, but I have absolutely used this to help me with my PTSD, anxiety, depression, etc. It has come in very, very handy. Which, as a side note, for those of y'all that are like, oh, that's not one of my signature strengths, doesn't mean you can't use it. You can still use it to help you. It can be very powerful. It just depends on how much you're going to lean into it and how much you love it and how energizing it can be for you. If it's a signature strength or not. But for people who this isn't their signature strength, or maybe even if you're just exhausted, even if it is your signature strength, and someone's like, oh, here, learn this, it can feel like it's tied to productivity, or it's an achievement that you're working towards, or maybe you feel like you're trying to improve yourself and that's why you need to do this. Especially if you're dealing with any kind of the traumas that we talk about here, it can quietly turn into yet another form of pressure. Like, one more thing I have to do is another thing I have to do. And it can really stress you out. Even if you love it, if you're too far gone and your emotional, like your nervous system is too stressed out, it can still be yet another thing you have to do. So I want to be able to flip the script on that just a little bit and to remind you that the love of learning is not about keeping up. And it's not even about fixing yourself. So at its healthiest, the love of learning is simply enjoying the process of gaining new knowledge for the knowledge's sake, especially when that knowledge helps you feel a little more oriented or more equipped or resourced and where you are in your life right now. So it can help you ease some of the stress and anxiety if you understand what's going on a little bit better. So the love of learning is enjoying acquiring new knowledge or skills for their own sake. And this is where I deviate from someone who has that as their signature strength. I love to learn, but I usually want to have a purpose behind it. Like, I'm learning this because XYZ. Where someone who has the love of learning as their signature strength is like, I'm learning this because it's fun. I just love to learn. I mean, a classic example, not very long ago, a friend of mine who has this as her signature strength, she and I both learned something at the same time. And I don't even remember what it was. But after it was done, I turned to her and I was like, well, I mean, that was interesting, but I don't know how I would ever use it. And she paused and looked at me and she's like, well, I just thought it was interesting and you never know when it might come in handy. So she was learning because of the love of learning and knowing that, you never know, this could come in handy in some point and be able to help me with whatever. It is just really fun to learn. Where for me, I was looking for a purpose behind it. So that's some of the difference between having it as a signature strength as opposed to, using it, having it further down in your character strengths, further down on the list, but still implementing it and using it. So, within the context of positive psychology, which the Values and Action Survey is a part of that system, the positive psychology system, it's associated with curiosity and wisdom. But for a trauma, from a trauma perspective, the love of learning often plays a different role. It can help you to start understanding the patterns that you're dealing with, or how to read people, or gathering information so you know what to anticipate what's coming next. And this is where I used it quite a bit. So after I came back from Kuwait and everything started falling apart for me, trying to understand what was going on. I didn't get it. I didn't understand what was happening to me. So diving into wellness and trying, changing my diet, taking out toxins, all this kind of stuff, and then learning about resilience and how to train my mind and all these other tools that came in very handy, and understanding what was going on, because it was kind of freaky when all of a sudden you're not acting like yourself and you don't get why. And so this provided some context to that and some stability. And that's how I use it. And it ended up developing this passion for wellness and resilience, which led to a career change within the Army and eventually led me here. So that's my love for this character trait, because it can be pretty powerful when you start digging in and gaining a better understanding. So this strength can be very, very powerful, because it helps you accrue knowledge. You know that old saying, knowledge is power? Here you go, because you're gathering that knowledge to be able to help you gain a better understanding of what's going on, which then equips you and arms you for stuff that's to come in the future, so you can better position yourself for success. So what does the love of learning look like in everyday life? This could be someone listening to a podcast because you really enjoy them, or reading books because they make you feel less alone. Now, that one I can really relate to, because I have books that are like my friends. And I was cleaning out a bunch of books a couple years ago and getting rid of a bunch of stuff that I would never read again. And there are some of them I'm like, I don't care if I never read them. You'd have to pry them out of my cold dead fingers, because they are my friends. They're not going anywhere. They are staying here. So this absolutely is part of the love of learning. Maybe it's taking a course just out of genuine interest, either of the topic or just the interest in learning. It could be watching videos that explain how things work. So for people that are dealing with anxiety or PTSD, the love of learning is going to show up in researching symptoms, nervous symptoms, coping tools. This is how I used it. I was talking about that earlier. For people with depression or seasonal depression, this can provide a little bit of structure when your motivation is low. It can give you some shape to your day without being super demanding. It's really gentle. So without demanding high energy, because learning doesn't require a lot of output, or any output really. I mean, strictly learning is just receiving information. So it's low impact. So if you don't have a lot of energy, but this is something you enjoy doing, this is a great way to be able to help with that. Learning also offers companionship. As I was mentioned earlier, some of my books are like my friends. But this is a way that you're learning about something from someone else's perspective and someone else's voice. You kind of get inside their head a little bit when you're reading what they wrote or listening to what they're saying. So again, it doesn't require a lot of output. It doesn't require performance. It's just something where you're receiving information, so it can be low impact. Now, we've talked about this with every character strength. They all have a dark side, including love of learning. So love of learning can get a little bit out of control sometimes. So the friend of mine that has this as her signature strength, this does not happen often, but she came to me one time. She had been researching style and different dress styles, etc. She had checked out like 6 books from the library and read a whole bunch of them within like a week and a half to 2 weeks. And she walked into my office. She's like, oh, I feel so overwhelmed. I can't hardly think straight. because she had all this style information in her head, and she couldn't sort it out anymore. It was just so much information. Now, she doesn't often do that. She's really good about handling and containing that, but that would be one way that the love of learning can be get a little out of control. It's information overload. It could also be where you're constantly researching without giving yourself a space to rest from that. And because everything takes energy, even if you love it, even if it gives energy back, it still is taking a level of energy from you. So there, you need to put some boundaries around your character strengths, your signature strengths, so you don't overdo them. And this would be one area that the love of learning can get a little bit out of control, as you just keep researching and researching and researching and researching. Which leads to the third area, and that is it can have you avoiding action. So you're constantly in preparation mode, but you're never implementing or acting on it. And this could be, we used to tease a friend of mine when I was in high school, college. This one guy was always going to school to get yet another degree, but never got a real job. Now, he did eventually. We used to give him a hard time. But this would be something that could potentially fall in that category, is someone who is constantly learning and never implementing that. They're just always in that preparation mode. They have more information to learn before they can do anything. The fourth way is using knowledge to bypass emotions. And this could be, like arming yourself with facts and data and information so you can avoid feeling. It gives you some of that false sense of control. Now, learning is powerful. I talked about this earlier, where you can have a better understanding of how you're feeling, of what you're going through, what your body is doing, what your mind is doing, can arm you and help you prepare to counter that and to overcome that or whatever. But if you go too far down that line, it can give you a false sense of control, because there's only so much you can control. But you can go too far in wanting to get a little bit too much control when life is feeling unpredictable. For people with anxiety, it could be looking like endlessly searching for certainty that never arrives. For people with depression, it could be the only safe activity they feel like they have. Like everything else means danger. But for this, I'm safe right here because the rest of life is just too heavy. I can't handle it. So just to kind of look at that a little bit different, this is, if you've been doing any of those, don't beat yourself up. It's not a failure of discipline. It's actually often a sign that your nervous system is looking for safety. That's not feeling really safe where you are right now, so you're going a little bit too far in that area trying to find it. But the best place you're going to be able to use the love of learning is when you pair it with integration and rest, meaning that you're implementing what you're learning and then you're giving yourself space to rest periodically. So how does this strength help from a trauma perspective? So looking for PTSD, learning about trauma response can reduce the shame. And I was talking to someone about this the other day. There's still a lot of shame around mental health issues. People don't like to say it out loud. I have PTSD or I have depression, whatever that may be. It's really hard to admit that. But as you learn more about it and you understand this isn't a failure on your part, it's just an injury, just like a broken leg. Your brain has an injury that you're dealing with, and it can help decrease that shame and help you to adapt your responses because you're handling the symptoms. It's not a personal flaw, and it can help restore trust in yourself. Like some of the behaviors that you have with PTSD can be unpredictable. And you're just like, why am I doing this? I've had those out of body experiences where I'm like, why in the world do I feel this way or am I acting this way? It makes no sense. But when you understand PTSD, you're like, that's why I did it. Because this is going on and it makes more sense. And so it helps restore trust in yourself. For anxiety, it provides you some language to be able to explain what's going on. There's nothing worse than having a feeling that you can't quite explain to someone else. And this gives you the verbiage to be able to do that, which helps soften the impact because you can now explain what's going on. For depression, learning can be a low pressure way to stay engaged in life. You don't need a lot of enthusiasm. You don't need a lot of energy. You're simply listening or reading and then implementing that and giving yourself a chance to rest and assimilate and then go back and learn some more. But it's a low engagement. And if love of learning is your signature strength, this could actually be a way of energizing yourself and helping you to combat seasonal depression, which is our next point. And that is, for seasonal depression, learning can create some rhythms and some structure to your life. And so the friend of mine that has that as her signature strength, August is a tough month for her. So last August, she planned ahead and took some French classes, language classes, for the month of August. And she just enjoyed it so much. And it really helped counter some of the depression that she struggles with in August by doing that, by using her love of learning, providing a little bit of structure, something to anticipate and to look forward to. And this can also help you if you're dealing with stress, a stressful situation. The same friend, like, she was a job that did not really meet any of her signature character strengths. So it didn't, there's other things that she really, really loves to do. Not that she hates her job, but it wasn't meeting, like marrying up to her signature strengths. And so I recommended a long time ago, I'm like, hey, start listening to podcasts in your free time. You'll learn stuff in your free time, and it can help energize and fill up that tank of love of learning that your job isn't giving you. And she's done that since and has made a huge difference. So I'd recommend that for y'all. If love of learning is one of your signature strengths and you're not getting it in your job or what you're doing for, to pay the bills, start doing that in your off time, and it will help fill up that tank inside your soul. And this is for any signature strength. If it's not being met in your day-to-day life, like your adult responsibilities when you're adulting, use that as an opportunity to do it on your off time. And it can make a huge difference in how you're handling all these things: PTSD, anxiety, depression, seasonal depression, chronic stress. It can really help by just filling that tank up a little bit. So this really, like, getting back to the love of learning, sorry, nice little sidebar there. Getting back to the love of learning, this is something that helps remind your nervous system that you are allowed to understand yourself. And by understanding yourself better, it can help decrease those symptoms. Those anxiety symptoms can help decrease the impact of depression and help provide some structure to seasonal depression. So how can we work to grow this and develop it? I'm a huge believer in leaning into your strengths, especially your signature strengths, and developing them, because that's when you start unlocking your superpowers. And developing that includes learning how to rein it in so you're not overdoing it, but learning how to lean into it and develop it in good, beneficial ways. So one is to apply one insight immediately. This helps counter the overwhelm that you can get by assimilating too much information. Is take one small thing that you've learned and implement it into your life to help you, help your nervous system calm down, help you deal with anxiety, whatever. More than just assimilating information, this is how to use it, and it can reduce that information overload and help you improve your life. Another thing is to learn in seasons. So pick one theme for a period of time, and maybe it is studying trauma. Maybe you're looking into, studying one of your signature strengths and how to develop that, what it means. Or, you're a creative person, so you pick out a hobby that you really want to get into and you just lean into that. Whatever that topic may be, try to choose, one, maybe two at a time. So you're not overwhelming yourself, and just really dive into that, and it can help you, but to keep it a little bit, put some boundaries on that to keep you from getting overwhelmed. And then the third thing is to notice when learning becomes avoidance. As I said before, that's the dark side, is it can become a way that you're arming yourself with facts and data to avoid how you're feeling. So clue into that. Like, I need to start acknowledging, what I'm feeling, and maybe take a rest or a break from this. So it's not failure, it's just information. Again, you love to learn. So learn when you're avoiding it. This is information, and use that to be able to help you to put some boundaries around it and to implement that a little bit better. And this is when love of learning thrives at its best, is when it's contained and has boundaries. Same goes for all our character strengths. When it has some boundaries around it, this is when it will work the best for you. So as we wrap up today, I want to remind you just of a couple things. Love of learning is not about knowing more. It's about feeling less lost and just loving what you're doing. Getting into that, just really enjoy it. But you don't need to read every single book or listen to every single expert. The learning that matters most is learning that helps you live with yourself a little bit better and more gently and with purpose. So if learning feels exhausting right now, that's okay. Even if it's one of your signature strengths, you may not be able to do it right now. It may be in a season of hibernation. It may be just overwhelming, and that's okay. It's all right. You'll get back to be able to using it in all its glory. So it's all right if you just need to take a break from it. So I want to give you a reflection as we wrap up today. What's one thing that you've learned recently that helps you feel a little more steady or understood, both either to yourself or to someone else? So what's one thing that you learned recently that helped you feel a little more steady, or helps you understand yourself, or helps someone else understand you better? You don't have to build on that. You can just let that be enough. But just think about that. What's one thing that you've learned that has helped? And I hope you all have a great weekend. This is a Thursday podcast, so have a great weekend. We'll see you back here next week. And lots of love, y'all. A quick reminder, if you have not completed the Values in Action survey and it's something you'd like to do, there is a hyperlink in the show notes below, and it'll take you straight there so you can do that. And it's free. Hey, my friend, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you please take 30 seconds and share it with someone you know who may be struggling with depression and anxiety? Also, would you please leave a quick review for the show? Knowing how this podcast is helping you fills my heart with so much joy, and it motivates me for future episodes. For now, it's time for Sam and I to head outside to enjoy some sunshine and fresh air. We'll see you back here on Tuesdays and Thursdays for more great episodes.